Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm Dorothy, a professional astrologer, and you can find me on the web at nhastrologer.com. Today, this is about April, May, and June, and for the sign of Virgo, or those with Virgo rising. So let's get started right off. So first off, April 4th, full moon lunar eclipse at 14 degrees of Libra was in your second house, will be in your second house. And having it in your second house, that is showing you and bringing to your attention the things that you value and what you hold dear. That's the area of the chart that we call is how we use our skills and talents to earn a living. Now, I'm going to back up a little bit because I want you to think about October 8th and the few weeks on either side of that. We had another eclipse at that point, and it was at 13 degrees of Libra, so in essence in the same place. 6 months ahead, now we roll into April 4th, we have the same eclipse. So the question for you is, what began or what ended in October for you? That is going to come up again here in April. Early April, so this is on April 4th. Now, things don't always happen on the exact day when it comes to astrology, because sometimes things have to sort of kind of sit there and stew for a little while, but I want you to keep it in mind is regards to relationships and what you value within those relationships. Again, you value your second house, and that Libra energy of this eclipse and the one in October is all about my partnerships and my relationships. So that is the focus for you who are Virgo or have Virgo rising for that eclipse. Now, let's move on because there's a lot of information in the next 3 months. October 8th, Jupiter is stationary direct at 12 degrees of Leo. Now, that's at the same place that it was back in mid-September. And so when it first hit that point in the sign of Leo, this is in your 12th house. So Jupiter moving through the 12th house, in essence, is all about raising our spiritual awareness and working through any psychological blockages and issues that we may have been holding for a lifetime, pretty much, in past lives as well. So when Jupiter does move through that sector, we have an opportunity every 12 years to really clear the deck and move to a higher level of consciousness, if you will, for ourselves, for our own personal lives. And so with it it's been retrograde for months and months. So on April 8th, as it moves forward, it's going to move forward. It's going to take a few more months now after that to get through the rest of back through Leo. And we really want you to focus on what you value in your psychological healing and in your spiritual practices. That's going to be very, very good. It's a nice place for Jupiter. Jupiter's okay pretty much everywhere, but this is great for you taking your spiritual practices and whatever it is that is important to you to a new level. On April 16th, Pluto goes stationary to retrograde. It's at that 15th degree of Capricorn. Now here it's in, for you, it's in your 5th house. And that 5th house is where we're creative, that creative self-expression, the things we create like art and beauty, also our children. So with Pluto stationary there at that degree, if you have something at that degree, it will give you more information. And I can't tell you about that, but I can tell you if with that Pluto moving in stationary to retrograde in that sector, we're really redefining what's going on in how we create and how we express ourselves out in the world. Now, on April 18th, the new moon is at 28 degrees of Aries, and that is in the 8th house. Now, in the 8th house, Aries in the 8th house is very, that 8th house is all about transitional things, and that Aries energy is the I am, who I am, and who am I, and what piece of me is going through a deep and transformative period. That 8th house is also outside resources, financial resources that we get to use. It's inheritances, it is like bank loans and credit card debt. So it's taxes. So if you haven't done your taxes, this might bring something up for you. If you haven't done them by the time this is going on, well, actually, this is tax time. So April 18th. So that might be your focus if you have Virgo rising. Next, I want to get to the next full moon. I'm going to jump ahead a couple weeks to May 3rd. And May 3rd, the full moon is at 13 degrees of Scorpio. And that Scorpio energy is the same as the 8th house. So the way it works out for you guys with Virgo rising is that, that financial piece is, with taxes especially, could be very, very important for you. So if there is something that's transitioning and shifting for you, the full moon is about releasing and letting go, and that third house is where it happens, this full moon, and so that is all about contracts and really and communication. So there is something that needs to get cleared up here. When I put these two pieces together, it tells me that especially there's something shifting and changing, and you need to tell somebody what it is, or if you're not working your taxes well or doing your banking properly, then something will come up that needs to be handled right away. And just handle it. Don't put your head in the sand. You know, stuff happens, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. All right, moving on to May 7th, Venus moves into the sign of Cancer. That will go into your 11th house. That's going to make you feel a little more like we want to get a little more caring and nurturing around some groups. You want to get some groups around you, find new groups, people with like-mindedness, people who are looking and searching for the same things that you are at this point in your life. Whatever that is, it's different for everybody, but whatever that is, because that Cancer energy is where I want to feel cared and nurtured for, and that 11th house is within the dynamic of groups and social environments. May 11th, Mars moves into Gemini, and that is your career sector in your 10th house. This is good activity. This is good movement. This is movement forward. This is all about, you know, maybe you're going to have to do some traveling a little bit more traveling or something for your work because of that Gemini energy that's there, and Mars will kick that into action for you. Or there's a new contract coming up, something. Mars is going to be in your career sector for 6-7 weeks now, starting at this point, somewhere around May 11th. And so that just means that there is a lot of movement and activity in regards to what you're known for and what your career is. And even if you're unemployed, this could be very good for employment and finding work and really getting out there and finding work. And you might have to travel a little more than you used to, but it's still very good paid work. May 17th on the west coast, May 18th on the east coast, new moon at 26 degrees of Taurus. That's in your 9th house, and that 9th house, Taurus in that 9th house, is all about, you know, where we can expand our awareness, learning, valuing what we know, valuing what we're learning. And with the new moon in that sector, you can actually end up looking forward to having some newer education or learning some new things right now, and it's fantastic for you. So take advantage of this new moon in Taurus and what you value as far as higher education goes, whether it's something that is, you know, trade school, college, metaphysical, whatever it is. It's all about experiencing new things to learn, and this is the high point for you right now. We also have Mercury retrograde on the 18th of May, and that's at 13 degrees of Gemini. In your 10th house, your career sector has a retrograde of Mercury. So when that happens, you know, we're going to have to slow down and make sure we're making the right choices. Don't move too fast. I know with Mars in Gemini right now too, this 10th house is your focus these 2 months, May and June. That means your career is going to go through some sort of adjustments. With Mercury retrograde in that 10th house for you, that means that there is something that is going to go, you're going to have to renegotiate between then and June 11th when it goes direct again. So between May 18th and June 11th, Mercury will be retrograde in your career sector. Mars is already in there, so it's kicking some action into place. And on June 21st, the Sun moves into that sector. So the Sun, Mars, Mercury are all in your career sector. And the retrograde of Mercury just means that you're going to have to slow down as much as you possibly can, even though Gemini's not isn't wholeheartedly into slowing down any. I'm a Gemini, I know that. We don't really want to slow down much. Once we got the momentum, we want to just keep it going. But you'll know where it needs to slow down, so pay attention. It won't be everything. It'll just be some things. On June 2nd, the full moon is at 11 degrees of Sag, and that's in the opposite location, which is your 4th house. So that means if you're doing too much in your career sector and you're doing too much at home, out in the work sector, then home is going to look for some attention. And that's what happens with the full moon in Sag for you who have Virgo rising. That 4th house is highlighted 2 weeks after the new moon in the career sector, and straight across the chart is home and family. So you might just be actually too much stress, too much work. You could be, this is what it is, you could be working really, really hard, And there's so much overwhelming work to do that by the time the full moon comes around on June 2nd, you're ready for a vacation. And Sagittarius is all about fun and travel and learning. So that could be what happens with this for you. Let me go on. June 5th, Venus enters Leo, and that again is in your 12th house. So kind of like that, Venus is going to come and meet up with Jupiter in just a matter of a couple weeks. It will be in the month of June, and that just highlights the fact that the things that you're learning through your metaphysical experiences and any of the psychological things that you're going through right now, even if it's just spending a little more time sleeping so you can dream and decompress, even that will be very wonderful, and you should be able to create some wonderful things in your dream time. So if you need to remember stuff when you wake up, have something next to the bed so you can write things down, because you might be able to really create and do some amazing creative dreaming and lucid dreaming for yourself in that month of June, and even with Jupiter in there, since it's been in there for a while. Next, I want to see, let's see, we've got on the 14th of June, Saturn moves back into the sign of Scorpio until September 18th. And that's your third house. Now, when Saturn's been moving through your third house, well, when it was in Scorpio from in 2012 all the way through 13 and 2014, that's 2.5 years in Scorpio, you know, it shifted a lot of things for you as far as what your childhood beliefs were. That's that third house energy, how you communicated with people, contracts you were willing to sign, you know, driving and how far you're willing to go to drive to, and your siblings and cousins and your neighborhood, all of that would be going through some sort of breaking down and transition. Now, from this time period, like I just mentioned, June 14th to September 18th, Saturn will back into that area as a retrograde planet and then move forward again. But in that 3-month time period, there is something, there's that last little piece of something that was shifting and transitioning in 2012, 13, and 14, and you finally get to complete it. So it's not the end of the world. It just means that we have to just finish up one little piece of something. And there's a lot of other great transits going on, so this shouldn't be a big issue. It's something that we really welcome, and we can finally put something to bed. On June 16th, excuse me, the new moon at 25 degrees of Gemini. This is the completion of all the other 10th house issues you've been having going on, with Mars making us move too fast, the sun transiting through there, highlighting what is and is not working in our career, and then the retrograde of Mercury. You know, by the time the sun moves, by the time the new moon is there on June 16th, Mercury will be moving direct, easily and quickly back to almost its full speed, and we'll be able to clearly see what is right and what is correct for us in making new choices in regards to whatever has been shifting in our career sector. And again, this is for you, Virgo, with Virgo rising. Let me finish up. Summer solstice, June 21st, and then on June 24th, Mars also moves into the sign of Cancer. The sun did on the 21st, and this is in your 11th house. And again, looking at what groups you want to belong to, where you're going to find that caring and nurturing energy that you're really looking for within, you know, that Venus, yeah, here it is, that Venus, sorry, I should have put my notes down, that Venus triggered back in early May. So with the sun moving into your 11th house and Mars into that 11th house, you know, the groups that you belong to, that you end up being part of before, by the time the summer is over, you will really realize that it's all about caring and nurturing for yourself. And you should be really happy with these groups that you finally end up being in. So because you're looking for that caring and nurturing component. And that's what's being triggered right now through these early spring months. All right. I want to leave you with that. Thank you very much. Please share. This is my business. This is how I earn a living. I love to share what I have with you. And if you would like and feel inclined to have a private session, please let me know. Link to my website is just below the video in the written section. And find me on Facebook, Dorothy Morgan Astrologer. Please share. I appreciate it. And I want to thank you very much. And blessed be. And namaste.